official.
It's official. We started a podcast.
We did today.
Why did we start one?
Well, because we're hilarious. And we talk about business in a more approachable manner.
I think we've been through some shit and we have a voice.
Yeah.
We also get asked questions all the time.
Constantly.
So I think we're trying to preempt the questions because I'm sick of getting all the questions.
And also be a real resource because I feel like there's a lot of garbage out there. Like Shark Tank isn't the whole picture of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, for sure. So we should probably introduce ourselves so people know who we are. So
they don't know who we are.
I know, we're not that famous. So I'm Ariel. I'm one of the co-founders of Happy Box, a custom gifting platform where you can build your own care package. We do a lot of corporate gifting, but generally I handle all of the creative stuff and corporate sales, which is really fun.
And finance.
And finance. That's add that to my resume.
Yeah. The beauty of being an entrepreneur. I'm Hannah. I am her sister. We co-founded Happy Box together, and I do a lot of the marketing stuff for Happy Box, and of course we run the business together, so all things operations, inventory.
HR.
Yeah, HR, anything
Legal.
you can think of. Again, wear many hats as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and why we're calling this podcast Roaches is because when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be the last one standing, and that's exactly what roaches are. They are the last thing standing after a nuclear attack. They will outlive all of us. So
You just have to survive.
you just have to survive. So we are the roaches of the gift giving space for sure, I would say.
And like many entrepreneurs, we have had our ups and many downs. We
Yeah.
have failed so much. We have failed so much. We have failed forward, though, and up. And some years, it's just about surviving. That's it. It's just about being the last one standing.
We've outlived a lot of competitors and we will continue to do so.
Damn it.
Or we'll die trying. Okay, so let's make this official with a prompt from one of our listeners. Just kidding.
Mom or Poppy, is it you?
Our parents wrote this. What 3 things would you change if you had to start Happy Box over again?
3, only 3.
Where do we begin?
Well, the number one thing, which we both agree on, and you're going to say too, is we would be closer to our numbers
Yes.
all the time. Like, we were really close to our numbers in the beginning. When it's small, when you start a business, it's easier to kind of understand what's going on. And we had such extreme growth that it was impossible to stay on top of that. And I think for me, I was so focused on we have people now. We have to make this culture. But really, the numbers are the absolute number one. And then everything else can fall into place. It's actually okay, but you really need to know your numbers.
If you don't know your numbers, you don't know the direction of your company, you don't know what you should be focusing on, you don't know what you need to stop doing, because there are things you will need to stop doing for sure. So I think I totally agree with number 1.
And what do you mean by know your numbers, actually? We should probably talk more about that.
So I think a lot of people think just revenue and profit, but there's so much more that goes into that. There's the invisible costs, how long it takes you to do this specific thing. If there's a service element, there's so many factors to this. I think it really does start with unit economics and how much does it cost you all in to create or to produce this thing that you're ultimately selling?
Yeah, whether it's a product or a service, how much does it actually cost you? And those costs can change. And that's what's wild.
And they will change.
They will change with time. So it depends on the business, but unit economics, Google it.
Yeah, if you don't know it, stop, pause.
Yeah.
Google it because it is so, so important. Trust us because we've made a lot of mistakes in that department. So I think know your numbers for sure. I think
So number one big thing, know your numbers.
Number
know your
2,
economics.
I would say don't hope people can grow into the role that you're hiring them for. You got to hire people who know more than you about that specific task. I'll give you a great example. When we first started out, we hired warehouse managers who had never run warehouses before. And that was a really big challenge for us. We were kind of we'll all learn together. And I think part of being an entrepreneur is being able to drive the ship and know the business, know the numbers, get the direction of the company, and hire experts so that you don't have to be the expert in warehousing or in fulfillment or whatever it might be. So I would say that is number 2. You really want people who have gumption and have a passion for startups, because that's insane. This is a huge undertaking, someone taking on a role at a startup, but really try and hire people with experience. I think that's the number 2 thing.
Yeah. Surround yourself with people who actually know what they're doing in those roles, because as an entrepreneur, you are so naturally going to have to wear many hats. So at least the people you hire better know a little bit more about their expertise or the expertise you're looking for than you, or you will not succeed.
Yeah. And the right people, though, will grow the business. The right person with the right experience, they will take it off your plate so you can focus on something else.
Yeah.
So that is so important. I wish I could go back in time and drill that into my head.
Yeah. And it's hard, especially, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, you try to hire friends, you have to, at the beginning, you have to have
Should that be number 3, non-hire friends?
No, it's, you know, family and friends are such a big supporter in the beginning, and you kind of have no choice. Like, you really don't. And it's a very fine
free
line.
labor.
Yeah, it's a fine line of like, when do you actually need someone in this actual role to drive your business. So that's a huge one, I'd say.
Okay, so that's 2. So it's number 3.
So we talked a little bit about numbers and money. We talked about people.
I think we're going to differ. I think we're going to have a part A and part B, because I would say it is execution. Like, you need to execute. You don't have to be the best yet. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to like have it all figured out. You don't have to have your business plan all formalized. Like, you just need to do it. And that's like such a hard thing for people, I realize. If you can execute and you can just kind of act on something that you want to do, like, you are going to be probably ahead of 90% of the people out there, which is kind of insane, because
most people don't do.
Most people just don't start. So just like knowing when to execute is so crucial.
Yeah.
And also knowing that you're going to fall on your face 1,000 times, and that resilience. I think that's, with execution comes resilience. So you just have to keep going.
I think also people don't realize how much, there's so much like glamour in entrepreneurship, and like, you fail constantly. Yeah. And if you're not failing, you're not doing your job as an entrepreneur correctly, because if you're doing something new and innovative, no one knows how to do it. No one's done it before. There's a reason. So you have to fail. And if you don't fail, you'll never learn. And it sounds so cliche, but it's like, we are like living proof that like, you can actually succeed in the end. And not that it's at the end, but you have to fail a lot.
Fail, learn, keep going.
I think I wasn't prepared to fail as much.
I feel like also, like, we could probably change our answer every week, because we learn new things all the time, and there are so many regrets to like in the beginning, but you never really make those mistakes again. That's what I'll say. So if you make a mistake,
don't make it again.
You won't make it again, because you're gonna have so much PTSD. You're gonna be so scared, and you're gonna, if it didn't completely like catastrophically affect your business, you're probably going to keep moving, which is cool. So just keep going, and just know you're always going to keep like learning, and that's probably it.
I think one thing that I wouldn't necessarily redo for us, but I think is really important for people to think about in the beginning, and I hate to go into like legal, but like really think about like, where's your company going to go? Does the name make sense? Like, what is this long term? I think people get really excited about an idea. At least the entrepreneurs we talk to, they're very excited about an idea. And there's a few that we talk to that are more visionaries, but they are very focused on this one product or service they're doing now. Your business will evolve. Like, it will change, it will evolve. So just think about where it could potentially go from the beginning, just so you have some directional, like, you know, I don't know, understanding or foresight that you might want to change something one day.
So those are the 3 things we would change, or at least consider being better at.
Yeah.
And I mean, we side hustled for a really long time. So we like did not know how to run a business, really.
Yeah.
Right. And so you just give yourself grace. I think it's just like, just survive it. Give yourself grace, and you'll generally be okay.
You will fail, but it'll be okay.
Conversely though, we've made some mistakes that like kind of propelled the business. What do you think is like your number one? Then I'll go, because I think I have one.
A mistake that we made that propelled the business.
Yeah. I'll go first if it's...
Yeah, go first.
Okay, so we initially, at our first, or actually second warehouse, we moved into this like really nice facility, but we are a pick pack company. Like it's a warehouse. Like we have receiving, we have forklifts, like we have those things. And we made the decision, because we couldn't see the scale at the time. We didn't kind of hit our sort of, we didn't propel quite yet, but we made a decision to go to a facility that was a little bit more set up, a little bit more... it was just like better than we needed, even though it was really expensive, and that was a hard decision to make. And maybe a mistake, because maybe we couldn't afford it. However, when we started to take off, it allowed us to expand in a way that I don't think a lot of facilities would have let us expand in that way. So we were able to take on
where
more
we
spaces.
physically were?
Yeah, like our physical warehouse, like even though it was like more expensive and a little too
warehouse.
Yeah, our warehouse was in like a very expensive city with
like a retail front,
a view of Manhattan, which we did not need, right? We literally had to cover all the windows because we didn't want our chocolate to melt.
And we had too much inventory.
But I think that was like a mistake. Like I would have probably started off at the ground and been like, okay, like what's the cheapest place we could get? Yeah. But we literally did the opposite, but it was to attract people, to get workers and get them like...
And also it allowed us to scale during COVID.
Yeah, we scaled during COVID. That's like the big one.
And even we couldn't move after, that. No. Like it was...
So we ended up paying a crazy amount over disgusting amount of money with rent, like towards rents, which was, again... a mistake. We've corrected it. However, it really helped propel us a little bit. So not too mad at it. Not too mad.
I have one that's related. We did outsource our fulfillment one time.
Ugh,
and we thought we were growing at such a speed that we wouldn't be able to handle it. And I think we learned within 3 to 6 months that was a huge mistake. But in doing that, we know how to now do our own operations. We know how to run a warehouse. We have our own fulfillment. We learned a ton from them, even though they were a garbage partner.
Yeah, picture this. We rented a truck, a U-Haul, a huge U-Haul, to get all of our inventory from like 5 states away. And we're driving down the highway. There are no mirrors on this U-Haul, freaking out about getting all of our inventory, which is horrible. That was horrible.
You know what? The lessons I learned, what to look for in a contract, what to look for in a partner, and then, of course, about fulfillment and our own warehousing.
And an exit clause.
Yes. And then the other mistake that I learned a lot from is there had always been this sneaking suspicion of where we were spending our money in marketing, of like, we had all our eggs in one basket, and it always felt like the other shoe was going to drop, like things were too good to be true, and it finally did. And I think once that happened, it forced me to get really creative.
And you're talking about the marketing iOS update of 2021.
iOS, iOS 14, iOS 15 updates that really affected our business, but all e-commerce.
It changed the marketing landscape.
Yeah, it changed marketing media. But it really, I had the sneaking suspicion like things were too good to be true with our marketing, and then it happened, and I just realized, and you realized, we can't have all our eggs in one marketing basket. We have to diversify. We have to grow our own customer lists. And that was a good lesson because we have so grown that for our own business. And now we're in a much, much better spot.
So some good mistakes, but like mistakes, you just have to learn from them and survive. And as long as they don't, again, catastrophically demolish your business, you will come out of it. You just, especially when your back's against the wall. I feel like we've had our back has been against a wall for 90% of the time. But that's when you get the most creative. So I think like everything is an opportunity. It sounds really corny, cliche, whatever, but you've heard it here first, or maybe like 900 and 1,000 times. But really, when you're back against the wall, you figure it out. You do, because you have to, because it's better to be in business than to not.
And I don't know one entrepreneur who hasn't felt that, so it's not uncommon. And if you're in the throes of it, it's so normal to just feel so desperate.
Yeah. All right, that was like so much negative about being an entrepreneur, but we promise there are so many amazing highlights.
So I think at the end of every episode for this podcast, we have decided that we're going to celebrate a win, a win as an entrepreneur, and
it could be just surviving.
It could be making payroll that week. It could be little, it could be big. It doesn't matter. But entrepreneurs have to celebrate every single win. So this week's win is we started a podcast. We decided this a long time ago that we want to do founder-led content, talk about our journey, talk about our story, and we did it. So this is episode 1. We did it. Yeah.
I echo that. All right, well, stay tuned because there's a lot more probably fails and some wins, which is really great too. But along the way, follow along.